I want to be able, when I get older, to have a good job and go to work every day, and I want to have that, like, relief to know my family's gonna be okay, and they're gonna be able to eat.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah, I do.
The most endangered species in America is the middle class, a quote from the award-winning HBO movie American Winter by director Harry Gantz. The movie was presented in Building 12 on October 9th, 2014. Filmed in the winter in Portland, Oregon in 2011, it is a gritty, emotional, wrenching film following the lives of 8 middle-class families in the midst of the Great Recession of 2008 to 2011. The event concluded with a panel of 3 speakers: Kathy Rao, professor of sociology at Sinclair, Harry Gantz, director of American Winter, and Karen Van Zant of Think Tank Incorporated, an organization geared towards helping the individual in a holistic way. Rao and Van Zant spoke of their own personal experience with poverty, explained the current situation in our nation, and urged the audience to get involved with ending poverty and volunteering with organizations geared towards assisting others. American Winter is worth seeing in order to see the hidden dark truth of what has become of the American dream, as well as the plight of our dwindling middle-class citizens.
The film identified some of the people in this country who are in poverty, who have fallen through the cracks. The people who were in the film were all middle-class people. Unless they've received a new job, they're in a lower class. And from the president on down to the newest senator, the newest Congress member, no one has addressed the now lower class people who used to be middle class. It identified some of the things I've been through because I used to work for human services, now I receive human services. So I've seen both sides of the fence. I've seen that individual who was working somewhere, lost a job, just sitting out in the office wondering, why am I here? I don't want to be here. I want to be somewhere working. Well, I've been on the other side of the fence. Why am I here? I want to be somewhere working. I've had to stand in that long line that's over on at the job center because I needed assistance. I didn't really pick any one particular family that I identified more so with. If anything, it would probably be the man of color because I am, and I'm a little older than he is. Thankfully, I didn't have any children at home that I had to be concerned about that had to deal with what his children had to. But I have what I call a threefold: African American, male, and I'm over 60. And displaced a little bit more than 5 years ago. I still haven't gotten back more than, say, a part-time job. I used to have a regular part-time job. This country is so hypocritical on, they look at the seniors in one aspect, but then they still step on it in another aspect. We have the track record to show that we'll go to a job, we'll perform the job, and we'll be at the job. But when it comes time to hire, say, someone in my age bracket, oh no, they're probably not going to stay too long if we hire them, so we'll look for that young person. Well, that last regular long-time job that I had, so many of the young people didn't even take the time to call and say, well, I can't make it to work today. Don't tell us why. Just, I can't be at work. One of the first things they told me in orientation was, if you can't be at work, call and tell someone. And you'll see that young person's face come in a few days after they've been off, then you don't see them anymore. Were they some of the ones that don't show, don't call, or did you just leave on their own? Yeah, because besides the fact of someone in one of the larger American cities who's identified that Americans need help, others need to see it and to work towards trying to do some of the same things, because no matter what some of those high-ranking politicians seem to think, they need to be, so to speak, kicked in the teeth to be shown, no, it's not like that. It's what's here. Some of them, just say recently, I remember reading where the Congress members want to raise their salary. Nobody should have the ability to raise their own salary, especially an elected individual. So many of the things that they take for granted need to be taken from them. And it's going to take the people voting to have some of those things that they have become so.
My name is Kathy Rye. I'm a professor of sociology here at Sinclair Community College.
Okay.
I actually am a professor of sociology here, and I teach about poverty, and I thought it was a really important film to watch, and I encourage my students to come.
I like the film too.
I loved it, yeah. I guess for me, the ultimate message, one, is for students to get involved. We're not going to solve poverty sitting at home in our chairs, and it is a terrible problem, very, very terrible problem. Sometimes I do lose hope on days. I'm like, are we ever going to solve it? But we need young people to get involved in this issue, and we need young people that are loud. And I'm thinking a lot about, I have a lot of students, and a former student of mine is working really hard on the John Crawford case. And I think that voice that they had, they've been sitting over at the Beaver Creek Police Station, and they came to Xenia. Well, I went to the rally in Xenia. It was all these young college people with a really loud voice. I think it's time that we kind of have a civil rights movement again about issues like poverty and racism. I think we really need it. And I am so impressed with young people. I think older people have just sort of given up. And when I went and saw the rally the other day, there were so many amazing young people from all over the country actually who came to Dayton to try to talk about racial and social justice. I think it's time. I think we're ready. So I didn't help make the film, so that's something you definitely want to ask the HBO producer about when you ask him a question. Yeah.
Okay. How did this film personally affect you?
I felt pretty choked up. I didn't expect that because I was thinking about my own family and my own situation. And I really felt for the people in the film. I think anytime you watch people struggling and trying to help their children, it kills me that when parents can't provide for their kids and you hear the kids talk about that. And as a parent, I think it's a painful movie to watch. I think for me, I didn't, and it's not that it was the movie. I've worked with so many people in poverty. It reminded me of people that I know in the past. Or it actually reminded me, I have a student right now really struggling, and it made me think more of her. So I love movies, I love documentaries, but for me it's the real, the everyday, the real that I can't get away from. So it reminded me of a couple people, but there wasn't a particular family that I felt connected to.
Okay.